Hello, everyone, and welcome to Google Partners Academy on Air. We're going to be talking about winning attention in a mobile, skippable world. Very excited about this topic. My name is Jessie Hochhalter, and I am on the partner enablement team here at Google. And YouTube, especially on mobile devices, is one of my favorite topics. So I'm really excited to chat with you today about this. And I'm especially excited to be here with my colleague and friend, Ben Tyson.
Hello, thanks for having me. I'm Ben Tyson. I lead our strategy for external training and external events with our partners. On behalf of Google, thank you so much for all the work you do on our behalf. We're really excited to be here to hopefully give you some insight into mobile ads and how you win the attention in a mobile skippable world.
I already said that, Ben.
You did?
Yeah.
Oh man, screwing up
Attention
already on my
span.
first time. All right, so first and foremost, here's what we have to understand is that video is the absolute key to reaching and winning new customers. Whether you're an established brand or you're a new brand starting out, mobile is going to get you the reach and attention you need. Two videos that I love right now is Save the Bros by Organic Valley. I'm not sure if any of you have seen this, but it's an incredible video that extremely yields to the opportunity that exists with gaining people's attention through entertainment and humor. And then a brand that's just starting out is Mileage IQ. Has 83 million views, which is really, really phenomenal in regards to reach. So as we move forward, I want you to think of the customers that you're helping on a day-to-day basis. Whether they're an extreme large brand or they're a very small brand, the value that you get from mobile video, specifically with YouTube, is unparalleled. And hopefully you guys will get some good insights on what to do for those customers as we move forward.
Yes, your mind will be blown. Guaranteed.
Mind blown, right?
Get the napkins.
But here's the problem that we're facing today. We have plenty of reach, but attention is wasted. And what we've discovered is that brands really need to work on winning attention in the context that you see on the screen here, or you're really going to lose relevance to competitors that do. So brands really need to figure out how to win attention in this new mobile world, or else you're just going to continuously lose market share to competitors. So hopefully what we're going to be able to do is give you some insight and ideas of how you don't waste that reach and how you gain that attention. So as we look at this, what do we need to leverage? What does YouTube have? Specifically, reach and attention, the ability to reach the right people at scale across all devices to increase the overall buyers. So YouTube is to leverage really the fact that viewers are really, really watching and giving the attention to these particular videos for multiple reasons that we're going to discuss throughout this presentation. But it's crucial to understand this is an epidemic in regards to the low attention spans that humans have, and it's really astonishing some of the stats and data we're going to share with you. But how do we actually do this? What do we leverage specifically in regards to ad formats? Well, it comes down to two things. First and foremost, skippable ads only pay when someone actually watches, and the new introduction to the 6-second ad, which is built to be effective with short attention spans. We call this the dynamic duo. Now listen, we have shared multiple strategies from Google's perspective on how to win in the mobile space. We've launched multiple great products from mastheads to a bunch of other products that really do yield great reach. But in reality, in today's world, what we've made the judgment call to do internally is to focus our efforts on these two things: skippable ads and 6-second ads to match with today's consumers' mental model as well as their attention span.
But I thought we were the dynamic duo.
Well, we are definitely considered the dynamic duo.
Would I be skippable ads or 6-second ads?
You'd be skippable.
Oh, that's you guys heard that as rude.
Yeah, it's a kind of a bummer.
Rude. Well, you know what? I'm moving forward. So now, just to kind of set the stage in terms of these ads and when to use them and why this attention and reach is so important, is how things have shifted. So you can see here that this family, from we'll call it the 50s or the 60s, they are at a point where reach was really scarce, but attention was incredibly plentiful. So you can see they're gathering around the TV and watching, Howdy Doody or something. I've probably got my ears all off right now. It's probably so bad. And they're watching commercials and they're engrossed in these commercials because they're moving pictures. This is something they'd never seen before, right? It's a family moment. They had tons of attention, but there's not a lot of opportunity for brands to get in front of them. Now, if we fast forward to the current year, reach is very plentiful. We are being advertised to all over the place, right? Don't be surprised if there are some product placements today during this live stream. Just kidding, there won't be. But attention is incredibly scarce. So we have messages all over, but we've learned to tune them out. So the key is not only to reach these people, but also reach them in a way where we're going to get their attention. So this is incredibly, incredibly important. A few stats to support this. Now, this is interesting. 18% of the US population has actually never signed up for cable. So you've heard of cord cutters, right?
Yep.
Okay, these are actually cord nevers. Clever, right?
Did you just make this up?
I didn't actually. I wish I did because it's really good, but I can't take credit for that one. But 18% are actually cord nevers, so they've never actually signed up for cable. And 50% of TV viewership is actually non-linear, which means that we're skipping around, we're fast forwarding, we're going back and forth, right? Something distracts us, we might go back and watch again, we'll go through the commercials. And also, not just for traditional TV, the online video viewability, the industry average is only 66%. Again, so we have all these different means for reaching people with these moving pictures or these videos, but the attention is incredibly scarce.
How scarce is it?
Well, it's this scarce. This goldfish is going to tell us because it's got a better attention span than we have, you guys. That is crazy. In the year 2000, it sounds like I'm starting a future movie from the 50s, but in the year 2000, humans had attention span of 12 seconds. Okay. Now, this was the study was done in 2013, and at that time, they found that humans' attention spans diminished to 8 seconds, which is less than a goldfish at 9 seconds.
Hold on. I find it very difficult to believe that humans have an attention span that's less than a goldfish. Like, if you think about that, that's pretty insane.
What?
What?
What are we doing?
What, talking about goldfish and attention spans.
Oh.
Did you not? You're not paying attention?
No, I totally lost.
Oh, okay. Let me go
must
over.
Be that 8-second attention span.
Sorry, I guess I talk longer for than 8 seconds. My bad.
Yeah, you do, and you've got more ignoring that's going to be coming up for you, Ben. So our attention span is incredibly short, right? So goldfish are, it's not to say we're dumb. We're not dumb. It's just that we have so many things distracting us. Our attention span is diminishing. So it might even be shorter today, which is scary. So this translates to TV, and it translates to the things that we're watching, the messages that we have in front of us. According to this Think with Google study, viewers don't pay attention to 55% of TV ad time. Okay, why? Well, 26% of the time they are multitasking, so doing other things, maybe multi-screening. 15% of the time they're skipping through the ads, and 14% of the time they're actually moving around to different channels.
You say skipping, like fast forwarding through the ads? It's only 15%?
Yeah, I'm actually surprised multitasking is only 26%.
I'm the king of fast forwarding.
I'm the queen of multitasking. I'm doing my taxes under this table right now.
You're getting an F on that.
No, I never get Fs. So good. I'm actually not tax season is over. I should have thought of some other.
Yeah, you should have.
I'm sorry,
guys.
Can
right.
we cut
You're
this
getting
out?
audited. You're getting audited.
Okay, yeah, we're gonna cut that out. Great. All right, so food for thought here, because we are talking about mobile video, is on YouTube, mobile alone, we actually reach more people than any of these major TV networks. So this is just through mobile. YouTube viewership on mobile. That is incredible. So what we're looking at here, the percentages is the percentage reach right there. So we can see that YouTube desktop is actually kind of far down the line, but it's really mobile that gets the majority of these views. Those numbers on the top, those are, if you guys are familiar with TV, those are gross rating points. So this has to do with reach and frequency. So it's kind of a measurement that takes into account how many people we can get to, but also how frequently we can get in front of those people. So we can see across the board here, YouTube really dominates.
Yeah.
So really, really important to note. Now, this is something that really ruffles my feathers.
What doesn't ruffle your feathers?
No, not a lot of things. But the industry standard viewability definition is out of control. What it is, you guys, is 50% of the ad has to be on screen for at least 2 seconds. And the sound doesn't have to even be on.
Which is
so
crazy.
A silent ad, 50% of the screen for 2 seconds, that's considered a view by industry standards. So this can be, I'm scrolling through, we're not going to say the F word on the live stream, but I'm scrolling through a certain social feed, right? You guys get what I'm saying? And I can see an ad pass through. It can be halfway in the screen, on the screen, halfway out of the screen. But if it's there for 2 seconds with no sound, it's considered a view.
So is sound important to the ads, do you think? Or
I don't know, but let's see what the next slide says. Oh, yeah.
Whoa.
Sound is important.
Okay, good.
Sound's important. So what we found with the Nielsen study is that viewability and audibility is really important together. So audible ads beat sound off subtitled ads. So let's just take a look at these stats. So 2.4 times more attention was paid to ads when the ads were shown on a platform with full sight and sound. So this means that we're capturing more than twice the attention just by having the sound on. This makes sense, right? So it's not just about viewability, it's also about the attention that's being paid. So in order to get that attention there, we're going to need to have not only it as a viewable ad, but also an audible ad.
I think what's interesting there is that study was done by Nielsen as well.
Yeah.
Traditionally, focused on the traditional media space. So it really gives a specific insight into YouTube and why it could be a good platform for your advertisers.
Absolutely. And that's an important note because I come from the newspaper space. I don't know, some of you guys might know that about me. I come from newspaper. And so I respect traditional media advertising. And it's not to say that it's not effective. It just, we have to shift where the viewership is. And so we have to make sure that our strategies are aligned and we're spending enough and we have enough presence on these, digital sources.
Yeah, agreed.
Like YouTube. So let's talk for a second about audibility and viewability and how these two things work together as opposed to just having them as separate things. So we can see here that if an ad is just audible, meaning it's just a sound ad, there's no visual aspect to it, as soon as we add that visual aspect, we see 2.7, almost 3 times more ad recall. Okay, so really important. This shows us that things like radio, these can be, you can have less ad recall, so maybe you need a lot more frequency than you would if you have both of these things
Which
together.
in the end costs more money.
Exactly, and we'll get to that in the end. That's a very, very good foreshadowing that you've brought up there. We're going to talk about effective CPMs in terms of viewability. It's very interesting stuff, so stay tuned. Viewability. If we look at viewability alone, when we tack on audibility, we actually see that 1.4 time increase in ad recall. Okay, so this is really important. It means that just seeing something is not gonna, it doesn't affect our brains as much as when we see and hear together in terms of that ad recall.
But Jesse, what about YouTube's audibility and viewability? Is it good?
Well, I'm really glad you asked that.
It's stunning.
Very good. I mean, this is, it's not an A+. If I got these grades in school, I'd probably go home crying. But
oh my gosh, I would kill for these grades in school.
Yeah, this is almost an A-, what we're seeing here, but still very, very good. YouTube's viewability is 93%, right? And audibility, 95%. Okay, and we already talked about what the viewability looks like for traditional media, for TV, traditional TV advertising. And we talked about the industry standard being 66%, but we will actually take a step and put all of these things together and see what they look like. But this is really stellar. So Google, YouTube, we pride ourselves on viewability and giving the viewers and the advertisers the best experience possible. And that's why these numbers are so incredibly important to us. Hugely, hugely important. Now, this is what I think is one of the coolest parts, is not only is our viewability at 93%, what we found is that viewers actually pay attention to YouTube ads. So viewability and attention, these are two different things. Something can be viewable, meaning it comes up on the screen, it works, it's there, but I can divert my attention. I don't have to pay attention to it. But what we find is that 83% of people paid attention to YouTube mobile advertising.
So yeah, and this was done on basically an eye tracking software and study. Now, I think it's key because the perception, or I guess, is that no one's watching these ads. But when we look at mobile, we're watching fully through, we're engaged and our attention's there. And when we think about the title of this session is the mobile ad space of how to win customers, this is key, is just the first step is getting your advertisers to advertise on mobile YouTube, because the attention is so great for these particular consumers.
Absolutely. And, you know, why might this be? Well, let's think about it. If we're used to these TrueView ads that are skippable, so we could be paying attention, waiting for that 5 seconds to elapse, or maybe in the midst of that 5 seconds, we're like, wow, this is really cool. I want to actually watch the whole thing, right? So we're willing to pay attention. We're willing to wait because the ads are not those really long, unskippable. We're actually moving away from the unskippable format altogether, aside from those bumper ads. But bumble ads. But this is why we see so much attention being paid to these ads. So this is really, really cool. Not only is the viewability there, the attention is also there. All right. I promised you we'd talk about this. This is great. So we're going to do some comparisons. YouTube is 93% viewable. We already talked about that. The online video industry average, 66% viewable. I don't even know.
That's pretty good. That's a D.
See, I wouldn't have known that. I've never gotten below an A. So
you've never gotten a D in your life?
No.
Oh my gosh.
I didn't even know. I didn't know percentages went that low.
They do. Trust me.
D's get degrees, huh, Ben?
D's get degrees.
Well, then you'll be very familiar with these next few numbers.
So, oh gosh, come on, that's messed up.
So TV has a viewability rate of about 45%, right? Are you familiar with?
I'm not familiar with 45%.
Right, okay. TV is a viewability about 45%. So what this means is that only 45% of the time are these ads actually viewable. Okay. Now, told you I wouldn't say the F word, but here it is. Twitter, Facebook, Twitter's about aligned with TV in terms of viewability, and Facebook is about 30 to 35% there.
So yeah, what I think is really interesting about this is look at the online video industry average is 66%. The only reason it's that high is because of the viewability that YouTube brings. Most other mobile ad platforms are in the lower 30 to 40, in some cases 50%. But just imagine it's like the bell curve, which is someone like Jesse comes in and gets 100% on a grade, which increases everyone else's grade, or it's harder to get a D.
That's not how bell curves
See,
work.
that's why I'm in the D range, right? So I told you. But yeah, so the online industry average, again, is really increased and feeling the effects based on YouTube, which I think is a crucial understanding to take into the market with you.
Yes, so you're welcome, online video industry averages. Bringing you on up. Yeah, so and there's no, if we want to just look at a quick visual example of the difference in, you know, these two ads that are both considered viewable. On the left, we have this kind of scrolling, you know, newsfeed type of situation. There's no sound on, and you can see that ad kind of shoots through your periphery there, but it is on the screen at least halfway or more for 2 seconds. So that is considered a viewable ad. But if you look on the right, this is also, by our standards, considered viewable. And it's full sound. You've got the entire ad taking up the screen there. And basically, it's just a completely different experience.
Sound's on, too.
Yes, the sound is on. You can tell. I mean, you can't hear it, but you can tell by the little icon. Thank you. Yeah, icon there.
No problem.
Yeah, my attention span, my goldfish attention span. What?
Well,
what are we talking about?
Hopefully you'll listen to some of what I'm going to say here, because I'm going to kind of drive it home. So we've shown that viewable and audible together drives more lift. But what is also interesting is the correlation that exists between watch time, and brand awareness and consideration. So you can see the chart on your left here is obviously we're hitting a sweet spot of awareness as well as consideration once we get to the 30-second, and then it continues to increase on up. This is kind of a crucial understanding, because these two charts are really, really engaging to understand why it's important to have complete viewability and not have viewability considered 2 seconds of watch time. So if we look at what is going to drive more brand awareness and consideration from a format perspective, what we're going to suggest is TrueView ads, particularly the skippable ads. Here's what we have to understand. This is a great tool to win attention, but we also don't want to be the brand that is driving consumers or users off of the platform by creating non-skippable ads. That's just not fun, right? people that want to skip ads can skip ads after 5 seconds. There's also 15-second, 30-second creative, and creative basically of any length. So this is crucial, where we saw that bell curve kind of, or I should say the hockey stick growth there, was really once we got to that 15, 30-second threshold, and we're starting to see a tremendous lift in consideration and brand awareness. But let's give you an example of what this looks like. Love's has this great campaign where they have the first kid versus the second kid, and how everyone is an expert parent once they have their second child and are likely to choose Love's than first-time parents. So it really is diagnosing who they're targeting. They want to have it well known that even though it's your first kid, act like a parent with a second kid, and really, really move them to Love's. Well, this had incredible reach, and is furthermore incredible attention, lift, and brand awareness and consideration.
Yeah, and this was a great example of them using that first 5 seconds to capture your attention and then get you to watch a little bit more, thus increasing the actual brand recall and awareness and all that stuff.
So it's a good point. So let's go back to those charts here, if you will. Is what we found is that once an individual gets to the 6-second mark, that drove significant brand awareness as well as consideration. So looking closely at this, while there's only, I guess it's about 3% lift, which overall said and done is pretty significant lift, is crucial. So when we look at why this is important, we said, wow, if we're getting this much lift from even 6 seconds, then we need to give our advertisers an opportunity to really engage and create attention within 6 seconds. And that's exactly what we did. We created bumper ads. So bumper ads, or the 6-second ads, again, are built to be effective with short attention spans. And similar to myself and Jesse, this is your dynamic duo in mobile video advertising. This is the best way to win consumers with short attention spans. And that's the direction we're going, because we understand that consumer behavior is dictating what we need to create in regards to engagement ad formats that are going to increase lift and consideration. An example of this, there's 2 of them. But first, before we get to the examples, what we did is we were a little unsure if a message could be put in place and you could provoke thought and engagement from individuals within just 6 seconds. So at Sundance this last year, what we did is we put producers and directors to the test, told them this would be a fun challenge. And what we did is we saw tremendous video assets created within a 6-second time frame that delivered on a specific message. So 2 examples of that. First and foremost, if we go to the next slide here, attention span.
Sorry, what are you talking? We doing this?
Is the fact that brands have figured this out. This is a 6-second ad that is done by Tide, which is a tremendously engaging format, which is increasing their overall consideration. Now, I'll admit, like, bumper ads are a little bit hard to create. There is a sense that you have to do more with less, which can be very difficult, and it has to be extremely polished. But if you're looking for a format to really increase reach and awareness and decrease overall CPM, this is an opportunity that exists. And we'll give some points of how you can create these bumper ads as we move forward. One more example, though, is Southwest did a fantastic job of explaining, here are 15 things you don't want to skip, and they did this within 6 seconds, and the promotion kicked off beautifully. Is this actually effective, though, and is it working? Well, the answer is yes. It turns out that 6-second ads are extremely effective, increasing reach by 78% because they're delivered at a more frequent rate for an overall lower CPM. A couple more statistics to throw your way here is that 9 out of 10 bumper ads drove significant ad recall. And then furthermore, 7 out of 10 bumper ads drove significant lift in awareness. So not only is this an opportunity to win the attention of the attentionless human being today, but it also is driving the things that brands care about: ad recall, awareness, by gaining the overall attention of these individuals. So what's the best way to do this and the best way to use bumper ads? Well, there's really kind of 3 ways you could do this. First and foremost is the standalone bumper ad, which is going to drive significant reach at a lower CPM. The second thing you could do is you could boost reach as well as frequency, right? So you could take your TV creative, cut it down to video ad of 15 to 30 seconds, and then run bumper ads and intermittent with that to, again, extend your reach as well as increase attention and brand lift. Or the third thing is to extend that video and TV ad with a skippable ad and then create multiple bumper ads or 6-second ads at a lower CPM to drive reach and frequency. Now, I know this might sound difficult to do, but the more bumper ads we have, again, is going to increase the overall effectiveness because your message isn't stale anymore. You're creating new messages, new guidelines, etc., that are going to drive the attention in users.
Bumper to bumper.
Bumper to bumper. An example is the spiked iced tea. They created a flock of bumper ads, and they did this very, very inexpensively. But the overall, I would say, product that they delivered in the bumper ads still looks really nice. The aesthetics are pleasing. It doesn't look like it was bootstrapped together. And what they found is for very inexpensive, by cutting their 30-second TV spots or TrueView spots down to 6-second bumper ads, they were able to compete in this space. I see you smirking.
I could use some Jeremiah weed right now.
Yeah, could you? Some Jeremiah weed,
But
spiked iced tea.
back there, can you guys, hey, producers, can you run that and also just red M&Ms?
Red M&Ms. Come on, we have 10 or 15 minutes left. We can get through this, I promise you, right?
Sorry.
All right, so best advice that we can give you in regards to utilizing the two formats that we discussed is, again, it's a dynamic duo. So utilize both of them. I know every time I say dynamic duo, you like freak out a little bit because you think it's us, right? But the way that this is segmented in regards to budget is going to look different over the course of, let's say, a 3-month launch of a new message. At the first month, let's say in June, I'm going to want to increase or utilize the majority of my budget in the skippable creative to enforce and increase reach. And then I'm going to, again, utilize the bumper ads with 30% of my budget. But when we get into month 2, you're going to see those budgets even out, and I'm going to add in more bumper ads. The reason I'm going to do this is because it's going to allow more frequency, which in the long run, frequency is going to build first-time buyers, which in the end is going to increase your overall loyal buyers. And then month 3, only 20% of my budget is going to go to skippable. The other is going to go, 80% is going to go to the 6-second ads. And this is the best advice that we have for you guys in setting up these campaigns.
I love it. That is wonderful advice. And we have some more advice for you guys as well. So basically, if you can win 6 seconds, you're future-proofing. You are future-proofing against this low attention span world. I will admit I listened to absolutely none of what you said.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that.
I had other things on my mind. And
show your true colors, right? You're just showing your true colors right now.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's true. I'm a terrible person. But this is what we're going to ask you guys to do is for your clients, put their viewability to the test. So there's really 3 prongs to this. What is your viewability? Okay, what is it? What does your viewability look like? And then once you have that, how is this affecting your effective CPM and your creative? So let's talk about that. First of all, with viewability and measuring it, you can measure it in several ways. So you can measure it free in AdWords with Active View. You can see what your viewability is for your YouTube ads. There are also third-party options that you could use if you wanted to look at your viewability across other platforms, right? So find out what your viewability is. Once you have that number, whatever percentage that might be, then you want to audit your viewable CPM. What is this? This is very cool. I love simple math. It's one of my favorite things. So you can see here that media platform A might have a viewability of 50%. This might be TV, right? Then the CPM we know is $10, but that's not actually the viewable or the effective CPM because only half of my ads are actually viewable. So the CPM multiplier is going to be 2, right? The reason it's 2 is because I'm really only paying for 50% of the ads that they're saying I'm paying for because 50% are not viewable. So they're basically not there. So the viewable CPM or the actual real CPM is $20, not 10. So you can see across the board, B, we do this if the viewability is 33%, but the CPM is only 8. The CPM multiplier is actually going to be 3, right? So you're only paying for a third. Only a third of those are actually viewable, so it's costing you 3 times as much. And then at the bottom, we have if the viewability is 75% and your CPM actually is quite expensive, at $15, because the viewability is much higher, then you're going to end up with a viewable CPM that's equivalent to the first.
I think this is a good point, though, because I would be remiss to mention, I know a lot of your customers are saying, oh, YouTube ads are too expensive, especially on mobile. Well, in reality, with viewability at 93%, the CPM, or the effective CPM, is then in turn going to be significantly lower than a lot of the other platforms that you're leveraging for your advertisers today. So I advise 100% wholeheartedly take this challenge and see what the effective and the viewable CPM is for your clients, and share it with them.
Yeah, and you can even if you don't get their actual viewability for their actual ads, go by the industry standards. Assume that YouTube is 93% and assume that TV is about 45, right? That's what industry standards are telling us. So then take their CPM for TV and double it, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. So then you'll get closer to an apples to apples comparison. So that is something that's incredibly important. And then finally, we want to make sure, so we talked about your viewability, how that looks in terms of your viewable CPM. And then we're also going to challenge you to cut a 6-second bumper ad. So if your client already has YouTube running, try to cut a 6-second ad from the assets that they already have. If they don't have YouTube, this is where you can go back and take that advice in terms of having those TrueView ads, and then some bumpers, and increasingly adding in more bumpers, and then testing this on YouTube to see what the actual effect is, and using that effective CPM as a tool to help get there.
Totally.
Cool. So let's wrap it up.
Yeah, a couple takeaways here before we get to some quick Q&A. First and foremost, when we talk about it, reach is critical to growing a brand, right? We all understand this. We've been told this, reach and frequency, but without attention, it's just completely wasted. So just remember that the online video viewability average is about 66%, and a ton of platforms are a lot lower than that. And really, YouTube is just kind of bringing that online average up, right?
Yeah. And so number 2 is YouTube is, because of this, that the reach is critical, but if you don't have the attention, you're not there. YouTube is great because it's over 90% viewable and audible. So this is important because it drives engagement, it drives brand lift, and we've designed the TrueView ads and the bumper ads together to win the attention, right? Especially on mobile. So using those in tandem is incredibly important.
And then number 3, your next steps here. First and foremost, audit your viewability and understand what the effective CPM actually is for your customers. You'd be surprised at how few agencies, as well as how few customers actually have even heard of this terminology and really truly take it into consideration before they make their buying decisions. And then take your creative that you already have in existence and cut it to 6 seconds. This will be a huge benefit to test those bumper ads in your next campaign.
Yeah, wonderful. So thank you guys so much for joining us. And if you have any more questions, please put them in there. I'm going to load this up and see what kind of questions we have. All right, I'm going to start with this one for you, Ben. Which ad format is the best to build brand loyalty?
Which ad format is the best to build brand loyalty? So I would say that when you think about building brand loyalty, well, the short answer is going to be skippable and 6 seconds ads. And I know, I'm sorry, that's so lame of me. But the reason I'm saying this is that when you think about building brand loyalty, what you need first is you need reach and frequency to build up a base, okay? It's no secret that the most profitable companies get about 90% of their revenue from customers that buy once or twice a year. And from there, they actually shift a handful of individuals into what we consider loyal customers. But without the initial reach and frequency for your brand, and furthermore, gathering and gaining attention of the message your brand wants to share, it's impossible to build that loyalty. So from an ad format perspective, I'm going to go ahead and say to build brand loyalty, you have to get reach, frequency, and attention. So leverage what we've discussed today in regards to TrueView as well as skippable.
It almost sounds like you put that question in there.
It almost does sound like I put that question in there.
That's weird. Okay, we've got a few more questions. Can you explain what TrueView is? This is a great question because we actually didn't talk about what TrueView actually meant. So let me give you kind of a brief description of what it is. So TrueView is basically you only pay when the advertiser or the client or the potential client, the viewer, I should say, there's a lot of words to get to the right words. You only pay when the viewer actually watches the entire commercial or the first 30 seconds if it's longer, okay? So there's the skip button that we're all familiar with. You have to watch the first 5 seconds, but after 5 seconds, the skip button lets you skip the ad. And if that happens, the advertiser does not pay. If they get to 29 seconds of a 30-second video, they do not pay. It's only if they get to the end of the video or 30 seconds, whichever comes first. That's the only time they pay. So that's really what TrueView is. So just wanted to thank you for bringing that up. All right. So we have a couple questions asking about, and I'm going to throw this to you, and then we can I'll throw my 2 cents. Yeah. Do you recommend using professionals, production companies to develop your videos, your YouTube commercials, or does other software work as well? What are your thoughts on that?
So, I mean, here, listen, I mean, you don't, not every brand, especially when you're starting out, it's very difficult to afford a professional production company to come out and shoot. I mean, most people have smartphones, which generally speaking shoot 4K video today, which in a lot of cases is considered high def. However, with that, you need to make sure that your message is succinct. So what I would certainly recommend is at least consult an agency or a partner to understand what type of creative should I be thinking about to create for my brand, and not just go out and shoot a 5-minute video on something and try to throw TrueView ads at it, because that probably won't work. We also have recently released something called Director, which allows you to create YouTube videos at a very, very low price.
Yeah, no, I would say that's exactly spot on. Now, I think the one thing to note is the YouTube format, the YouTube landscape is different than traditional TV, because so when we see on TV like one of those really hokey ads that are clearly shot with like a cell phone, it's jarring compared to the production quality of, what we're watching on TV. This isn't so much the case with YouTube because there's a lot of user-generated content on there. So it's not as jarring. So you actually can use things like YouTube Director and make really compelling commercials without the huge production. And if your advertiser is running on TV, use those assets. Take those assets and chop them down. 100%. Okay, when do you recommend going outside of the TrueView and 6-second bumper ad combination?
Yeah, I mean, so great question. I mean, there's obviously multiple other features, masthead, etc., a bunch of others that you can leverage within YouTube. There are certain circumstances when you need a big push in a short amount of time, absolutely go towards masthead. But if you're considering setting up a strategic campaign over the course of multiple months for a client, then I would consider probably sticking with TrueView in bumper. But in those cases where, hey, we want a significant brand push in 1 week, which I know a lot of the agencies watching, you get that very often, then yes, go towards the masthead, go towards the in-stream. All of those will be extremely effective in regards to reach, but just understand that the attention might not be there, which in turn is not exactly the brand lifting consideration that we're looking for.
And it can be significantly more expensive. So if it is a really big advertiser, those masthead options, those other options can be really valuable, but it is a lot more expensive.
That's a good point.
So that's very, very much on the branding side of things. Okay, so there's a lot of really good questions here. What would you consider an industry average view rate, and is view rate a valuable metric? So I'll start here. So the view rates really are going to vary widely depending on the commercial that's being shown, depending on how long the video actually is. So view rates are going to be in the AdWords interface. When you're looking at the YouTube reporting, you can actually see how many people made it to 5 seconds, 10 seconds, whatever. You're going to see like where people were dropping off. So the view rate is going to be what percentage of people actually watched the whole video. I do think this is a valuable metric, but it's a metric that it's going to really depend on what your goals are. So if your goal is just to get people to watch the first 5 seconds and you've got your message crammed into there and you just want them to be aware of a sale or something, then maybe the view rate is not as useful of a metric. But if you're really looking to engage the audience and really get them involved with your brand, then view rate's going to be really, really crucial. In terms of the benchmarks or industry averages, I'm going to say it varies so widely, but I've seen 15, 20%. I think 18 is like right around where they say it is. I don't know if you have any more insight on that, but it really varies.
I'd say it's close to there. Here's the thing is like Jesse mentioned, depending on what the goals are, that's really going to be dependent on if view rate is important. And at that point, if your goal is to get someone to watch the entire video, to make sure that your message is understood completely and fully, then it's probably some challenges with the creative. And that's what I look at view rate for, is if I'm not holding attention, at least benchmarks, maybe my creative is not as effective as I think at holding attention, and I might want to consider revamping or reworking that.
Yeah, great. I love this question. Someone just went for it. How did these ads compare to what Facebook offers? Love it. So, all right, I'm going to be political here. So Facebook's ads are considered the thing that we want to make sure that we understand is when they say something is viewed or there's a view, it's much different than what we say is a view. So with TrueView, it's only a view if they actually watch the entire thing, and you're only charged if they watch the entire video or that 30 seconds. Whereas with Facebook, like I mentioned, a view is considered 2 seconds, half on the screen with no sound. That's a view. So these are very, very different definitions of views. Some people ask, well, why don't you just change your definition? Why don't you, that's not, if you want to be more in line with the industry average, change your definition of a view. We don't do that because we want the best experience for our viewers, and we would rather just hold ourselves to a higher standard. It's better for the advertisers, it's better for the viewers, and ultimately it's better for YouTube and Google. So these two solutions are very different because the videos on Facebook are normally in that feed, in your news feed with the sound off.
Subtitles on,
right? So this is a very different experience. It's going to have much, as we showed in one of the slides previously, it has much lower viewability, about 30-35%. And so they're not as effective, in my opinion. I might be biased.
You may be biased. I agree. I think that what we've discussed in regards to, it's a mental model shift with our consumers, and grabbing their attention is very difficult. And I think that attention is not a commodity. And I believe that that's what YouTube brings to the table over any other platform. That's why the viewability and your effective CPM are crucial things to understand and figure out, because that's the true difference. And we have the different, I would say, as Jesse mentioned, definitions of what we're going to consider as a view. And what viewability actually is. And I think that's the key differences in the formats.
Yeah.
What do we have? Time for one more?
I think we have time for a couple more. This one is, are the ads clickable? Yes. Okay, done. Easy.
Check that one off.
Yeah, so we have a couple questions about retargeting from YouTube to search and display, which I think is really, there are a couple questions on that. Is it effective? Can you do it? And this is a brand new capability, actually, that we have now from capturing, kind of cross-pollinating the audience from YouTube to search. It used to be kind of more siloed, but now we can actually remarket across, which is very exciting. So yes, you can do that, and yes, it's from what we've seen so far, it's really effective. Let's see. So are YouTube ads effective if you're targeting businesses for professionals? Absolutely. It just depends on your targeting and your message.
So the targeting options that exist within YouTube are pretty substantial. I would consider, if you are a customer watching this, talk to the agency or partner that you work with. If you work with an agency or partner, I would imagine that there's some internal training there. If not, you have the ability to go to the help center, and it'll tell you all of the available ad formats, as well as Academy for Ads, which has some insight and information on YouTube and what's available. But yeah, I would say that'd be a good starting point.
Great. Well, we're nearly out of time here. So thank you guys all for the wonderful questions and for sticking with us. Ben, it's really fun. I paid attention to all of your answers to the questions. So can I get a high five for that?
I finally got your attention.
All right, cool. Well, we'll see you guys next time, Google Partners Academy on Air. And thank you so much for joining us, and have a great rest of your week and weekend.